exactly is this election playing out as far as social media is concerned? So many people turn to social media not only to get information, to a social media expert, to get the info, but also to share the information and to share their thoughts and to interact with others who are voting and even politicians. It's the one place, I think, that so many people are able to interact with politicians and have their views seen by so many people. So generally, I know that we'll narrow down in a moment, but generally, how did the elections go, do you think, on social?
I think South Africans can be proud of themselves. We do complain a lot about certain things that don't go well in our country, certain things that we'd like to improve, but we should remember that we are a country that is admired across the world, especially how we came through with our democratic dispensation peacefully. And that is why it was trending for 5 hours globally. Now, to put that into perspective, Twitter has 126 million global users on a daily basis. So for you to trend at number 2 for 3 hours and generally for 5 hours is a big feat. So I think firstly that was a big heads up for South Africa. I think we did a great job. Specifically speaking in South Africa, obviously we started to trend early in the morning, specifically because yesterday we had those big soccer matches. And then we had a bit of a funny trend where people were talking about after these elections, what do I expect? And other people were talking about that they expect politicians to come and visit them to see if they have managed to keep their promises. And others were talking about the fact that they want unemployment to go down. And somebody else said that I will no longer be looking for a job. I want a job to start looking for me. So, I mean, it was quite a nice way, to talk about the elections.
And as far as the reaction to the way the elections were run today, I must commend, as far as I can see on social media, the IEC have really upped their game in the build-up to their campaign of Access, and then in the communications they were putting out. The messaging was very good. The small snippets on Twitter and Facebook, I know we're talking about Twitter, but social media as a whole, they were giving very good information out and engaging very well with voters, which is something that I thought was stepped up from the previous elections, or is that just me?
Well, I think that it was deliberate in their approach, that they wanted to be more accessible, more dynamic, and to be more responsive. And I think that they've accelerated that. I think we should be concerned that voters between the ages of 18 and 19 generally didn't participate in these elections. We had a drastic drop of 44% from over 646,000 to just over 361,000. And that is still 70% of young people between the ages of 18 and 19 didn't participate in these elections. So I think they should look at the data, look at YouTube. I don't see the IEC working well there. I also don't see political parties aggressive on YouTube, which is the second biggest social media platform in South Africa at 9 million.
And help me understand then the tactic behind something like that, because if you are addressing something like voter apathy and the youth youth apathy as far as voting is concerned, why does the youth seem to engage so much on elections but just don't want to get involved? They're very happy to sit on their phone and take photos with friends who are voting or talk about voting and how important it is for the country, yet it doesn't translate into them standing in a queue for some reason, and I can't seem to make the connection.
We all struggle because since the advent of social media, you've seen participation in the elections go down from a percentage perspective. Perhaps the numbers have gone up, but the percentages, in 2009, we had over 77% participation in the elections. Then you went into the next elections in 2014, which was down to just close to 74%. Now we don't know how much people have participated. So I think that we need to look more at why is it that people don't want to participate. It could be a loss of confidence, but also maybe education. We need to look at how can we incorporate political education within our education system.
And do you think the political parties are failing there? Are they doing it effectively on social media? But they all want to talk to the youth. That's what I think every single political party I've interviewed and my colleagues have interviewed. They want to get the youth out to vote. But are they playing that digital online game correctly? They're doing it, but doing it and doing it properly are two very different things.
Yeah, I think they've tried. You know, they've put an effort, and you've seen ANC, EFF, DA, more of their politicians are now participating in social media. So they do see the impact of it. But I think where it's lacking is that we don't see a connection, you know, with young people as to what are the interests of these target audiences. What is bothering you? How can we help you? And I think that the engagement just before the elections needs to go beyond the elections. And I'll give you an example. I mean, in as much as I don't want to compliment him, but Donald Trump from the previous elections started campaigning from the first day he was inaugurated. And he campaigns every single day responding to different issues and bragging about all of the successes. So I think that's what we need to see in South Africa.
Maybe South Africa needs to partner with Twitter and put the ballot on Twitter, and people can vote from their couch or wherever they are. How clever would that be? Tebogo Ditshego, social media expert, thank you so much for coming in to speak to us this